Round 3 of the Greatest Champions celebrates the 3-win champions of the NASCAR Cup Series. 12 races are in this round, and for the sake of keeping things flowing at a relatively fluid pace at least, some of these recaps are going to be generalized a little bit more. Overall in this round alone, there are 24 races between the two groups that are all half length, so trying to go in depth with each race would take an incredible amount of time. So with that, let's go over the first race of round 3, Darlington. In race 1, Richard Petty 1972 takes home the win over 1955 Tim Flock. Kyle Larson 2021 finishes 3rd, one of his best finishes so far, and Jimmie Johnson 2008 is 4th. Now in round 3, since there are 5 3-win champions, 5 drivers will be eliminated. Last place finishes of Kyle Busch 2015, 2012 Brad Keselowski, and 1960 Rex White are all going to need to turn it around to keep their fortunes afloat. In the Group 2 race at Darlington, Bobby Labonte 2001, with both Weatherly Championships 2nd and 3rd. Lee Petty 1958 was 4th, and Buck Baker 57 was 5th. 2002 Tony Stewart along with 1994 Dale Earnhardt and 67 Petty are in danger at the moment. Surprisingly, 1989 Rusty Wallace finished poor as well, but with 11 races to go, there is plenty of time to turn it around. Hillsborough Occoneechee Speedway would have been the second race, but the track is not made for NR, therefore it must use another track, and I chose Illinois State Fairgrounds to be the substitute this time. In race 1, Jeff Gordon 1998 won, with Jimmie Johnson 2007 2nd, and Bobby Allison 1983 3rd. The backmarker finishers were Richard Petty 75 in last, David Pearson 69 second to last, and Tony Stewart 2011 third to last. In the second race at Hillsborough, Dale Jarrett 1999 wins, with Herb Thomas 53 second and Martin Truex Jr. 2017 third. Again finishing poorly in the back is Rusty Wallace's 1989, dead last this time. Lee Petty's 1958 runs poor, and 1987 Dale Earnhardt is back to third to last as well. Race 3 at Charlotte sees Group 1 be conquered again by 1998 Jeff Gordon. 88 Elliott is second, and 06 Johnson is in third. In the back is a sweep of Richard Petty's 72 last and 75 second to last. His 74 is also third to last. NASCAR's most winningest driver just swept losing. And for race 2, Cale Yarborough wins. Bobby Labonte gets second, and Richard Petty 71 tries to redeem his other iterations by getting third. Last again is 2002 Stewart, again sinking him further back in the standings. 1980 Earnhardt is second to last, and 1956 Buck Baker claims third to last. The bottom 10 standings with 9 races left now show Tony Stewart 02, Rex White 60, and Benny Parsons 73, along with the 67 and 74 Pettys in threat of being eliminated. Stewart is particularly worrying, as he's almost 50 back already. Other surprising people low in results are Petty 75, Gordon 95, and Keselowski 2012. They're all within 20 points of elimination, but the next race at Rockingham could flip everything upside down. In the first race at Rockingham, Bill Elliott 1988 claims victory, with Cale Yarborough's 1978 and Petty's 79 behind him. In last is our brand new full head of hair champion, Joey Logano. He sits behind 1996 Terry Labonte and 08 Jimmie Johnson, as drivers who finished poorly. For race 2, 1987 Dale Earnhardt redeems earlier poor runs with a win, and Martin Truex Jr.'s 2017 puts up another good run in second. In the bottom, though, is 1989 Rusty Wallace, again putting up a bad run. He finishes last, surely sinking him in standings. 1958 Lee Petty makes another surprise appearance low in results, and 2020 Chase Elliott is back there as well. With 8 races left, 16 Johnson and 95 Gordon fall below the cut line, with 2012 Brad Keselowski sitting right on the bubble as well. 2002 Tony Stewart finished 30th, again is in real trouble. He sits almost 100 points back at the cut line now, and nearly 60 back of the next closest driver. Rex White and Rusty Wallace find themselves below it, but only 30 points back. Easily recoverable. But 02 Stewart is going to need to turn around, and quick. Entering the second third of round 3 is Atlanta Motor Speedway, where Tim Flock's 55 beats Cale Yarborough's 78, and Bill Elliott's 88's in third. In the back is Rex White, who doesn't help his advancement and finishes last. 2012 Brad Keselowski does the same, and he's in mass amounts of worry as well. Benny Parsons, who did build the gap on the cut line, is right back on it now with a 30th place run. And in Group 2, Tony Stewart 2005 wins, with Ned Jarrett 65 second and Yarborough 77 third. Weatherly 63 finishes last, with Lee Petty 59 second to last, and Tony Stewart 2002 third to last. This helps Tony close in on the kiss of death, as after race 5, Rex White is now 40 points below the cut. 89 Rusty is still 3 positions from last in standings, but the gap is now only 21 points to the cut line. And 2012 Keselowski is only 10 back. Parsons stays above it, but it's a razor wire. Only 12 points ahead of 16 Johnson. And now 59 Lee Petty is looking at the pit heading into Watkins Glen as well. At Watkins Glen, 1997, Jeff Gordon obliterates the field, with 1996 Terry Labonte second. A big finish for a bubble driver. In the back, 2007 Jimmie Johnson is last, hurting his big cushion to the cut. Rex White finishes third to last, and 1970 Bobby Isaac also surprises with a poor run. In race 2, 1977 Cale Yarborough wins, with 57 Baker and 58 Lee Petty putting up good runs as well. This time 62 Weatherly finishes last, with 59 Lee Petty causing a disaster for himself with a second last run. A surprise Tim Flock 1952 run is found back here, and halfway through the round, the cut line is interesting. 02 Tony Stewart puts up a 15th place finish and closes the gap to the cut line to 70. Benny Parsons 1973 now falls below, along with 59 Petty. 2016 Johnson is sunk lower, and 89 Wallace has fought back to above the cut line. At the edge of the bottom 10 is 1968 David Pearson. A big shock, as David's titles are really strong seasons overall. But as we head into the second half, anything can happen, especially at Bristol. In the first group's race at the world's fastest half mile, Cale Yarborough's 1976 wins, with Richard Petty's 1979 in second. 2011 Tony Stewart shows up in third, and in the back, Bobby Isaac is last again. It might be disaster time for him. If he can't turn around this slump, it might be the end of his greatest champion run. Dale Earnhardt 86 finishes second last, and a pair of Waltrip titles finish way back at his best track. In the second group, Dale Jarrett wins with 66 Pearson second, and 65 Jarrett third. And last is 02 Stewart. The progress of last week is erased, and he is closing in now on being mathematically eliminated at this rate. 62 Weatherly puts in another disaster run, and 2010 Johnson is back there as well. With 5 races left, Stewart and White still anchor the bottom, along with 16 Johnson and 69 Petty. But now Bobby Isaac 70 is in the last spot, and the gap at the bubble is now over 30. This is concerning for every driver below the cut, as the margins aren't that easy to make up. 81 and 82 Waltrip sit in the danger zone now, and 89 Wallace has almost gotten himself out of the conversation now. With 5 races left, it is New Hampshire, where in Group 1, Richard Petty 1972 wins, with 98 Gordon second and 90 Earnhardt third. Another Earnhardt, meanwhile, is last. 1986 Dale Earnhardt. Another awful run is also seen out of Bobby Isaac, and Rex White is also back in third to last again. In Group 2, 1987 Dale Earnhardt wins, with 1971 Petty second. 99 Jarrett gets third, and in last is his father's 1965 championship. 2005 Tony Stewart accompanies him back there, and 63 Weatherly puts in another poor run. And with 4 races left, the bottom 10 has not a lot of shifting in terms of positioning below the cut line. But above it, Chase Elliott 2020 is now on the bubble, with 1982 Darrell Waltrip and 2010 Johnson. 89 Wallace can't seem to get all the way out of the danger zone, but you notice 1973 Benny Parsons is absent from this. He is free of worry, for now at least. Talladega kicks off our run home, and Jimmie Johnson 2006 wins, beating 1954 Lee Petty and 1990 Dale Earnhardt. Last this race was 2011 Stewart and 08 Johnson. 76 Yarborough also experiences a terrible run, a rarity for him. And in race 2, Lee Petty 1959 wins, a massive victory for a driver below the cut line. 97 Gordon was second, and 94 Earnhardt third. 67 Petty was last, and will more than likely be back in the danger zone. 2020 Chase Elliott, who was on the bubble, finished second to last in this race. And in a race where the guy who was below him in points won, this is extremely catastrophic for him. That doesn't spell good things for his greatest champion run. 1989 Rusty Wallace is third to last now, and he's back in big time worry. With 3 races left, Wallace is the last guy above the cut line, as Chase Elliott sits the first man out. 79 Isaac fights back the gap, and the bottom 3 settle into near elimination certainty. If you notice, 1959 Petty isn't even in the danger zone anymore. He is gone with his win, whilst Parsons is back. Martinsville marks the 2-race run to the ultimate triple point finale. Race 1 is won by Richard Petty 1979, with 72 Petty second to him. In the back is 2012 Keselowski, who quietly shifted from worry of elimination early to now making his concerns louder than ever once again. 01 Gordon is also back here in a shock, and 82 Waltrip puts himself in danger as well. In race 2, 71 Petty wins over 77 Yarborough, and 2 Earnhardt titles 87 and 80, whilst in the back, 04 Kurt Busch finishes last, along with 63 Weatherly and 53 Herb Thomas. 67 Petty and 70 Isaac swap spots. Bobby is now barely above the cut, and it's still tight with 2 races to go. But for the drivers looking for advancement, it's time to make your move now. Homestead is the penultimate race, with 06 Johnson winning race 1. The entire top 5 is consisting of Johnson and Earnhardt titles, with the last place finisher being 95 Gordon. 70 Isaac also sinks himself again, and 74 Petty surprises with the last place run. In race 2, 2000 Bobby Labonte wins, with 77 Yarborough and 87 Earnhardt behind him. 04 Busch is again last, with 67 Petty second to last and 63 Weatherly third to last. With that going into the round finale, Kurt Busch is now in the danger top 10. Weatherly 63 stays 25 points above Elliott at the cut line, and Isaac is a narrow 12 points back. 67 Petty is just 20 from getting to the threshold, and 1960 Rex White has fought back to a position where he's only 24 out of making it. 2016 Johnson is also only 30 back, but 2002 Stewart would need a borderline miracle to make it in. Richmond is the finale, being an incredible triple points race. That's because of the 3-win champions, 1963 Weatherly, 1985 Waltrip, and 2002 Stewart all won at the track in those seasons. Now, ironically enough, 2 of those titles are relying on this track alone to save their round. In race 1, Bobby Allison wins with 1972 Petty second and 81 Waltrip third. In race 2 was 77 Yarborough, winning with 71 Petty second and 87 Earnhardt third. Now the eliminations for round 3. The first elimination will be 2002 Tony Stewart. Overall, he had an awful round. He finished 32nd in the last race and missed the cut by a staggering 141 points. He was one of the 3-win drivers, but sadly, he will not advance. 100 points ahead of him is the next driver in the lineup, a driver that slipped in the last race and finished behind Stewart, dead last at Richmond. Joe Weatherly's 1963. Ironically, another 3-win champion gets eliminated in this round, missing the cut by 41 points. Ahead of him is the lone championship of Rex White. It's been triumphant so far for White. He has scraped through the rounds, but sadly this time he will have to face his elimination. He misses by 15 points. Ahead of him is a championship that made a last-second charge, but came up just short of advancing. Jimmie Johnson's 2016. He cut the deficit down to 12 points and appeared to have a shot at it, but it wasn't enough. And this elimination leaves Jimmy's 5 titles in a row as his only entries left. And now the last elimination. Missing by only 3 points is the 2020 championship of Chase Elliott. He misses passing 1970 Isaac by the aforementioned 3 points. He ran good through the first 2 rounds, and up until the second half of this round appeared to be almost a shoo-in, but it caved in, and it's over for Elliott. With that, 61 of NASCAR's greatest champions remain. And once again, thanks for watching. I'll see you people in the future. Take care.